What's up, everybody? This is What's My Game, and thank you for watching. This is my top 10 upcoming games for 2016, available for Xbox, PS4, and PC. I did not include any games that weren't available on all three platforms. Those will be on another video. At number 10, I chose Far Cry Primal. This game was recently announced, and it's scheduled for release on consoles next gen February 23rd, 2016, and scheduled for PC on March, or sometime in March of 2016. This Far Cry is very different from any other Far Cry, obviously, that's been, which I think is a good thing. The game is set in 10,000 BC, which is actually the Stone Age, and I don't know of any other games that have done that or done it successfully, so I'm really interested in that. You basically start off as a hunter named Takar. He starts off unarmed, and you rise eventually to become the leader of a tribe. There's other tribes that you'll battle against as well as woolly mammoths like you see here, and you'll actually be able to create weapons as you kind of level up using stones and teeth and leather and wood, different things that you might find in that environment using basic tools and skills. So I think the game will be really cool, and it'll just be a fresh take on the series. So I'm looking forward to this. Coming in at number 9, we have For Honor. For Honor is scheduled to release sometime in 2016, but we don't have an exact date on that yet. That's probably why we don't have much gameplay and much information, as the game is set probably quite far into 2016. It's a hack and slash video game set in the medieval period, and basically it's really cool because you'll actually use your sticks to direct your sword, both for guarding and for directing it, you know, where you want it to go. So it's more than just mashing buttons. It has a single player campaign and a multiplayer online campaign as well. What's cool about it as well is that you'll be able to play 3 different factions: the Legion, the Chosen, and the Warborn. That's the Knights, the Samurai, or the Vikings. That's right, Samurai and Vikings in this game. I think it'll be really interesting, and the little bit we know about it seems to look really great. So this looks to be a nice game. Coming in at number 8, we have Tom Clancy's The Division. This game is scheduled for release on March 8th of 2016. This game takes place in New York, and basically New York has shut down in just 5 days. Basic services, food and water are hard to come by, and you're part of a Strategic Homeland Division, or the SHD. You're basically just some regular guys that have been given the training to operate independently when all else fails. So basically when the shit hits the fan and there's nobody else to take care of business, that's your job, and put the city back together. You'll be playing massively multiplayer online with other players, and you'll also be playing against AI controlled enemies as well. It's really great, the interactivity with the environment, just like the bullets hitting the concrete there, the windows, looks absolutely fantastic. The graphics have probably gotten a little bit of a downgrade since the very first previews and gameplay, but you can see there's some great technology here in the game as far as for little gadgets that you can play with. But the interactivity with the environment, the acting, I think, is going to be phenomenal. So it looks like it's going to be a great first-person shooter, and I would have no argument this going up a spot or 2 in the countdown. Looking forward to it.
Okay, that's done.
Coming in at number 7, we have Kingdom Come Deliverance. This game is scheduled for release in the summer of 2016. This is a single-player role-playing game set in the 15th century Europe, specifically in the medieval kingdom of Bohemia. The game's MO, or focus, is on historically accurate and realistic gameplay. So if you're really big fans of fantasy and magic, this may not be the title for you. But if you can realize that the game's desire is to be, try to be a lot more historically correct, then that may intrigue you as well as it does me. They use a classless role-playing game system, which means you don't pick your class, you create it, whether you're a thief or a bard, they call it, a warrior, based on your actions in the game. Your conversations will be timed, meaning you have timed decisions to make, and those decisions will carry consequences, both good and bad, for your character. And it'll change your reputation. unlocking or not unlocking certain things in the game. Also, another important thing is you'll have a huge depth of customization in your armor and your weapons, being able to not only wear a certain armor, but be able to stack clothing and layer clothing on top of each other. So I think this new take, or a newer take on the history of the this century, will be really interesting. Coming in at number 6, we have Dishonored 2. Dishonored 2 is an action-adventure role-playing game with a heavy focus on stealth. The game is being developed by Arcane Studios and the publisher is Bethesda. If you played Dishonored before, you'll recognize both Emily Caldwin and Corvo Attano, and they're both playable in this game as well. The game is scheduled to be released in Q2 of 2016, although there is a possibility of Q1. There's some differences in the depth of how you can upgrade. And I quote, it says there's a deepened and extended upgrade capability, or more enhanced upgrading system will be in place, as well as an upgrade tree. Corvo will still have his blink power, but Caldwin will be able to do a power called Far Reach, which allows her to travel without actually moving physically, and you'll see it in this gameplay as like black smoke. The game is set 15 years after the Dunwall Plague from the original game. And, one of the things that it's obviously going to look better, they're using a new engine. They're no longer using the Unreal 3 engine. They're going to be using Bethesda's new Void engine. So I think the game will look phenomenal. Dishonored was really fun to play, and I think this game will just take it, if not a step further, it'll be just as enjoyable. Looking forward to this game as well. Coming in at number 5, I have Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. This game is scheduled for release on February 23rd, 2016. This is an action role-playing game, but it also combines elements of first-person shooters and has a pretty healthy and focus on stealth as well. The game is set in 2029 in the Czech Republic, capital of Prague. Basically happens 2 years after the events of Human Revolution, the game prior to this. Returning as the main character and the protagonist is Adam Jensen, and he's working with an international coalition to stop terrorist attacks. He's got a ton of new technology and body augmentations, which make the game awesome and fun for us. But one of the reasons that this game takes place is because of an incident that happened in the previous game where millions of augmented persons basically attacked mindlessly so-called naturals, which are humans without augmentations. And now they're basically after all the augmented people similar to Adam Jensen. And there's tons of terrorist attacks and shenanigans going on. And there's also some other details as well that we'll leave out. But the gameplay looks phenomenal. There's a new gameplay engine that they're working with from the last time, and I think it's called the Dawn engine. And so it looks phenomenal, and it looks to hopefully take the franchise to the next level. Okay. Coming in at number 4, I chose Final Fantasy 15. This game is currently scheduled to release in 2016, although an exact date is not yet known. My guess, though, would be later in 2016, just due to all the delays that have plagued this game. Matter of fact, this game has been in development in one shape or one form or another since 2006, and in 2013, they changed it from previous gen to next gen, which even further delayed development, but it was the right move. The game takes place in a similar to modern day Earth type of environment, although this is obviously a fantasy role-playing game like they've always been. The gameplay borrows heavily from the Kingdom Hearts series and also Typo, if you've played those before. And a couple of things that are interesting: it's an open world game. You'll be able to traverse the land mainly by walking or running with your party, but you can also drive a car, and you can ride the ever popular chocobos. You just have to rent them, is what I understand. There is a day and night, time frame, and you will have to camp during the night for your characters to gain combat level experience. So, in other words, that's when they level up. Your experience points during the day are converted into new levels when you actually camp. So you're just kind of in a state of non-growth until you camp at night. And but the game looks phenomenal. They've done a tremendous amount of work on it, and I really think that this is going to bring Final Fantasy back to the prominence of the role-playing genre. Coming in at number 3, I've chosen Homefront: The Revolution, and this game is set to release in Q2 of 2016, although there is a possibility for its release in Q1. This game, as the previous, is an open-world first-person shooter, and it's officially developed by Dambuster Studios. This game really wasn't even supposed to exist after THQ closed its doors and filed bankruptcy, although its assets were sold, and here we are, we have the game, and it actually looks pretty fantastic considering. Homefront Revolution takes place 4 years after the events of the original occupation. The main character or protagonist, his name is Ethan Brady, and he's staging resistance movements against the army, which is GKR, the Greater Korean Republic. They've lost many of the western states due to this movement, and they're moving east, and their central base is in Philadelphia, and it's heavily guarded, and it's just a oppressed environment, and the citizens are living in fear as the Korean People's Army control and basically patrol all the districts. So this game looks really, really great, and I think it's hopefully going to be worthy of my number 3 rating, and I think it really will be. Coming in at number 2 is Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. This game is scheduled for release in 2016, although an exact date has not yet been set. This is an open-world tactical shooter. It's the 10th game in the Tom Clancy Ghost Recon franchise, and this is the first one to feature an open-world environment, and I'm really looking forward to it. This is set in modern-day times, so no more of the really futuristic weapons and things. Although it does use any and all present-day weaponry, including drones, so there's plenty of great weapons to choose from. The game is set in Bolivia, and it's the largest supplier of drugs like cocaine, and it's controlled by the Santa Blanca drug cartel, and they basically have destabilized the region, and the United States government has, they see them as a world threat, so they're sending in the Ghosts as a special, or they call it Elite Special Operations Unit, to destroy the connections between the drug cartel and the local government. And the game has several different options. You can, when completing missions, you can do it in a variety of ways, and there's so much to cover, but you can do it stealthily, you can just go in and blow shit up, you can do it with just melee. There's also, you can create friendships and relationships with non-playable characters, which is really unique, and you can even gain experience points and level up a la like a role-playing game. So there's loot to be found on enemies. I mean, we can go on and on, but I want to keep it short. The game looks phenomenal. I had a hard time not putting it at number 1, but it's a solid number 2, and I'm really looking forward to this game. Coming in at number 1, finally, we have Mass Effect Andromeda. And this game looks to be awesome. And it looks to be awesome not because we have so much information about it, but because Mass Effect is such a popular series. It's developed by a giant developer, BioWare, and a huge publisher, Electronic Arts. It's AAA release all the way. And I had to put it at number 1 just because I know it's not going to let us down. What we do know about it so far is that you're able to play as a male or female human character. You'll be able to drive the new Mako, a 6-wheel vehicle. It was actually seen in the first Mass Effect game, but you'll be able to drive this time. There is a multiplayer option online, which is huge, which will be great. This game takes place long after the events of the first 3 Mass Effect games. The developer clearly stated that the Mass Effect 3 was the conclusion of that series, and this is a whole new direction, and they really want to expand what our what we come to expect out of a Mass Effect series, but keeping the core elements and the fan base really happy and alive. So this game really looks phenomenal. Because it is set so far in the future, we are losing Commander Shepard, which is unfortunate. But with the addition of playing as different characters and having the online capability and the AAA release that it is, it's going to be a home run. Well, guys, that concludes my top 10 list for games that are available on all platforms. I will do videos for games that are available just on Xbox One for 2016, for PS4 in 2016, and possibly for PC as well. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. This is What's My Game. See ya!